I'm Cheryl Keeney with Girls Gone Riding Women's Cycling Community, and today I'm here to give you some tips on cooking. No, I'm really not going to give you some tips on cooking. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about nutrition though, and how nutrition really affects how you perform and what it is you should be eating for breakfast before a ride, during your ride, and for recovery after your ride. So, getting ready for a ride in the morning. If you're heading out to do a 20, 30, or 40-mile ride, so not a very long ride, but one that you're going to be riding a little bit more than you would be, say, on a stationary bike at the gym, you want to think about having a decent breakfast. What works for me is, in the morning I'll have a piece of toast with some of the 7-grain or 9-grain or even whole wheat bread, spread generously with some peanut butter. And I find that works well for me. It gives me a sense of fullness. It also gives me a little bit of carbohydrate, a little bit of fat, and a little bit of protein to get started on my ride. If I'm going to be doing a ride for 2.5 or 2 or 3 hours, you're going to need to eat again, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But that works well for me, and a lot of folks I know really like having peanut butter with some toast in the morning, or they'll add a banana, or perhaps some oatmeal or some whole grain cereal with some skim or 1% milk. Those seem to be really good starters for the day without weighing you down to feel too heavy, but also giving you enough of the nutrition you need to get started on a decent ride in the morning. Some other foods that folks like to eat, I know, are almonds. And these are very, very nutritious. Almonds are great for you. They provide you with a lot of different nutrients as well as some energy. They're also great as a portable snack to take along with you for during the ride, which is what we'll talk about next. There are many products out there on the market. It can be very, very daunting to figure out what it is you should be eating, especially if you're someone who wants to make sure you have enough nourishment but don't want to overdo it. So what I really like are these single serving bars. These bars are actually a sample version. Many charity rides or group rides that you pay to do will hand these out there as a marketing effort. But you can also buy them online on the Larabar website, and they're great. They have about 100 calories, which is terrific for about a half an hour. Your body does tend to burn if you're riding anywhere from 12 to 14 miles an hour. About 235 calories every 30 minutes, and so you want to make sure you're replenishing that. And so if you're drinking some sport drink along with your ride, one of these and maybe a half a banana, or another type of bar, perhaps like the Power Bar, which is one of the first bars that was ever developed, has enough nutrition to give you another half hour, 45 minutes to an hour of nutrition, depending on how hard you're working during your ride. Some folks will even take along with them on their bike one of these. This is a gel or a honey bottle. I think it's just a nutrition bottle. Some folks who really get tired of spending the money on these gel packs, which we'll talk about in a minute, will fill this with either the liquid hammer gel or one of the other gels you can buy in a gallon, or with just plain honey, which is quick and very accessible energy. And honey is terrific for carbohydrates. I personally prefer the regular gels, but a lot of folks find that this works really well. And as I mentioned before, these gels are very good for instant energy. If you are working hard and you're starting to feel like you're really finding your energy depleted, these are not really a liquid and not really a solid, so they give your body very quick access to energy without having to do all the digestion that perhaps a bar would require. Some of these, like the Power Bar, have caffeine in them. The Excel Gel do not. They come in a variety of flavors, such as fruit flavors or coffee or caramel. Just experiment with these until you find one that really works for you, and keep them with you. They're very accessible and they're easy to use, and they also come in handy if you should have a split in your tire. The empty packet can work to help boot your tire if you have a bulge from your inner tube. So that's the kind of nutrition that you should think about while you're riding. Some other options that people like are trail mixes or other nuts, mixed nuts, peanuts, soy nuts. There are a variety of these type of snacks out there, and again, you just want to make sure you're eating enough to keep you nourished without overeating, because if you're overeating, you're kind of defeating the purpose of all the good exercise that you're giving your body. But you want to keep your body nourished so that you don't run out of energy, because your muscles can only store so much glycogen, and when it's depleted, you have got to have reserves in your body that your muscles can call upon, so that you don't bonk. Bonking feels like you are nauseated and getting sick. It's a terrible feeling. I don't recommend it. So make sure you're eating enough. Sometimes you might want to just put a half of a peanut butter sandwich in your pack if you don't want to invest in any of these bars. It works just as well, and often you'll see on a charity ride where they offer those. They offer peanut butter sandwiches pretty often at the rest stops. So the next thing you want to keep in mind is recovery. You want to make sure that the muscles that you are using during a long ride, or a 2-hour, 3-hour ride, are getting the nourishment they need afterwards. Because after you've depleted all of the nourishment out of them during your ride, even after you're sitting around maybe sharing stories about the ride, having a bagel, you don't want to have empty calories. You want to give your body the type of nourishment that it needs. And so some of the options for that are Accelerate, makes a very good recovery drink, and a lot of folks really like Endurix, but there are hundreds of these products on the market. Once again, find one that works for you and make sure you keep it handy. So there are some tips on how to make sure you have a good breakfast, make sure you're eating enough during your ride, and make sure you recover well, so that you can feel good the rest of the day instead of feeling really like you have nothing left to give. Because oftentimes we have work to do afterwards, or housework, or time we want to spend with our loved ones and family. So until our next tip next week, this is Cheryl Keamy with Girls Gone Riding. In the meantime, visit my blog at girlsgoneriding.blogspot.com, or visit examiner.com, where the Gilbert Cycling Channel is where I do writing on local and Phoenix cycling issues, as well as cycling groups, and also other just typical cycling topics. So hope to see you on the road sometime soon, and until then, enjoy the ride.